In this video, you'll learn how to configure the cards and table components. We'll use our old friend, the app with books and authors again, and we're going to add a new page with a list of all the authors whose books are included in the library. Add a new cards component. You'll need an API endpoint for this. Let's add a new API endpoint that will access the author's structure. Add a name, description, and a new layer. Next, choose the fields available for reading, like first and last name, year of birth, and the book ID field. This is an ArrayLink type field. You can click on it and choose which fields from the nested books structure will be available. Okay, now to set up the cards. Choose the endpoint you just created and add a title. By default, there will be 10 cards in the paging. Let's see how it looks. The title of each card is the visible name of the structure you're working on. In this case, it's the visible name of the author's structure, first name plus last name. Next, you can add 2 more fields to the card. These are a comment and text. Now just add the year of birth and a description. As you can see, the cards are quite compact. You can change the layout and make the cards wider. Or even choose a list where the cards will be arranged vertically in rows. You can also add a label to each card. Actually, any field can be a label, but we'll choose the year of birth. Next, add a picture to the card. You need the image field for that. Choose one of the possible arrangement types. For example, a picture in a circle on the left. You can assign a color for each card. We don't have a color field yet, so let's add it to the author's structure. The type is also color, a standard text field subtype. Next, let's fill in the value. We'll make one object green, the second turquoise, and the third orange. Don't forget to add the new field to the API endpoint for reading. Go back to the component settings and select the color field as the field that stores color. There are several color options available. We'll use the narrow color bar to the left of the card. Next, let's find out how to customize the appearance of an object. The Object tab in the Component settings has the Open in a Card setting enabled by default. We'll see how to work with subpages in the next video. Now we'll configure the modal window. You can add several tabs. Let's call them Main, Info, and Additional Info. You can hide any fields you don't want to show, like color. Fields can be moved using drag and drop. For example, let's drag the description field to the second tab, Additional Information. Note that for now the list of books just has simple labels. You can't click on them. Let's fix that. Set up the Books field, select the Clickable Objects option, and set up the card, which appears when you click on that object. Move the fields. You can hide some of them. And in the header, you can add some additional lines. For example, book. Save and see what you get. Now you can click on the book and see all the information. poster, title, and year of publication. If the book has the owner field filled in, you'll see the name and surname of the user who added it, as it's the visible name in the app user's structure. In addition to usual labels, the ArrayLink field can be displayed as a table. Add the columns you need, for example, a picture, title, and year of publication. This is how the author list looks now. You can even click on them. If you don't like the standard card layout, you can make your own, if you know HTML and CSS. In the card settings, choose HTML and write your code. And you can use a templating tool. Specify the system names of the field you want to include in the card in double curly braces. Here you can do something quite complicated. For example, something like this. In this case, we have CSS and HTML separately. Because CSS doesn't use object fields, you can position it in a single spot for the entire site. Save. Open the portal settings, custom code, and paste the CSS here. It will be pulled up for all the site's pages. The cards are still clickable. Everything is standard. Now let's try to understand how tables work. In fact, the principle is very similar. Add a table, select the same API endpoint, and add a title. Remove the quick search if you don't need it, and move on to setting up the table. There's the table. For example, you can color whole rows, because you have the color field, and it's filled in. You can highlight the rows this way. Or with the image field, you can show a picture in the table. For example, a round picture of 80 pixels. Also, not all fields need to be shown as columns. You can remove fields like ID and description from the table to show them on the object card and make the table more compact. When you click on a row in the table, the familiar modal window with the object appears. You can hide the color field and color a specific cell, for example, year of birth, like this. You can make it less explicit and only color the text in the cell. You can use cards, tables, as well as Kanban, and not just to view an object, but to edit it as well. Now you see that all the fields are only available for reading. Go to the API endpoint configuration and add fields for writing. Be sure to add the ID because, as you'll remember, to edit an object, you need to specify its ID, which means it must be available for reading and writing in the API endpoint. Go back to the component settings and see what fields are now available for reading and writing. Be sure to save the changes and check them. Now the object card has input fields. For example, you can change the first name to include a middle name. Great job! The object has been saved.